Unfortunately, just before the holiday weekend, the Big Bad Medicaid Bill passed the Senate and the House. It was signed into law on the 4th, so we're here to do our best to tell you what's in it and what we know right now. He's Nate, and I'm Andrew, and this is another Policy Bite from our corner.
In the last bite, we gave you a summary of what was in the Senate version of the bill, much of it worse than the House version, and sadly, that is the version that passed. That means work requirements for the expansion population, reduced retroactive eligibility redeterminations every 6 months instead of every 12 for the expansion population, among other enrollment and eligibility barriers, higher copays for some, reduced home equity limits that could force people into institutions, and cuts in provider taxes, meaning less federal Medicaid money to the state. We have a fact sheet on our website that details all of that a little bit more, and as always, we'll share that link at the end.
Those are obviously some big changes, and we don't know the full impact of all of that at the moment. We and others are still working to figure out the details, but there are a few important things we want to highlight right now. The work requirements are not in effect immediately. The state will have to implement them by the end of 2026 unless they get an extension, and we'll share more information as soon as we can on what that looks like and when you can expect to comply. That's the same implementation date for the eligibility determinations, but more guidance will be issued by the federal agencies in a few months on that one.
The provider tax cut, which will be capped at 3.5% for the expansion states, will begin being reduced in 2028 by 0.5% every year until it hits the cap. Utah has a hospital tax greater than 5%, roughly 5.5%, we believe. While these cuts will clearly impact Medicaid funding for hospitals, the reality is that it's less federal funds to the state. So the legislature will have decisions to make about whether to shift money around to make up for the losses and where to shift it from. Historically, when states have had less federal money come in, they cut home and community-based services like DSPD and or the New Choices waiver. We expect those conversations to begin happening as soon as this session, given that our legislature will want to plan for the future.
Some other dates worth noting: the reduction in retroactive eligibility, 1 month for expansion, 2 months for the rest of Medicaid, begins on the first day of 2027, and the increase in copays, $35 for those at 100 to 138, 38% of the federal poverty limit, with exceptions, begins on October 1st, 2028. All of that said, we want to reiterate that while this is scary, none of these big changes are happening immediately, and we do not anticipate anyone losing coverage right away. Between now and the beginning of 2027, we will continue advocating to policymakers to soften the impact on Utahns with disabilities as much as possible.
Obviously, these are some big changes, and there will be more information to come. We haven't even discussed the cuts to SNAP that could lead to more food insecurity for older adults and people with disabilities. Andrew and I will do our best to share that information with you as we get it. We do want to say a big thank you to all of our partner organizations and individuals, those who called our federal delegation, state legislators who helped us push back on cuts, and all those others who met with us and helped. In the spring, we feared even bigger cuts to Medicaid. It is unfortunate that our delegation bought into a narrative about a fictional able-bodied man playing video games instead of listening to the stories of real individuals that will lose coverage. But while this is a sad day for Medicaid beneficiaries because people will suffer, we know our collective work prevented some additional harms.
As Nate mentioned, there's a fact sheet on our website with more details on the bill. We'll also continue to share information on social media, and all of those links are also on our website, disabilitylawcenter.org. Thank you so much for watching.